I always believed that raising strong, independent sons meant teaching them kindness, humility, and hard work. I was a single mother who started with nothing, literally nothing but a secondhand laptop, 2 part-time jobs, and a dream of running my own business. While they slept, I hustled. While they ate, I starved. And while they played, I built the foundation for what would become a multi-million-dollar event management company. Please subscribe to our channel and tell me in comments from where are you watching this video. But as the years went by and my sons grew into men, I noticed something shift in them, a coldness I couldn't quite place. They admired wealth, but not the effort behind it. They began to crave status more than character. I blamed it on their surroundings, their privileged school friends, even their absent father. But deep down, I feared something worse. They had learned to see me only as useful, not as someone to be honored. Still, I held out hope. I gave them every opportunity, paid for college, helped with down payments, and even introduced them to people in my business circle. I wasn't expecting constant gratitude, but I did expect respect. So when they both got engaged and decided to do a double wedding, classy and exclusive, as they put it, I was thrilled. I imagined walking down the aisle in a graceful gown, finally seeing my boys step into new chapters with love and maturity. I thought, naively, that this would be the moment where they'd thank me for everything. Instead, I received an email. Not a phone call, not even a conversation over coffee. Just a bland 3-line email. Hi, Mom. For the sake of uniformity and style, we've decided to have all non-primary family wear staff uniforms. Since you're handling the seating and entrance coordination, please wear the black and white maid outfit we'll provide. It's important that everyone looks professional. Thanks. I stared at the screen, rereading it over and over, waiting for it to change. My heart sank. They wanted me, their mother, to look like a servant at their wedding. No mention of my name in the program, no seat at the main table, just a uniform. I was speechless. How did we come to this? How had I gone from "Mommy, you're my hero" to being a faceless extra at their wedding? I forwarded the email to my assistant with a single line. Print and frame this. I want to remember it. Over the next few days, I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I did what I always do when someone tries to erase me. I planned. Meticulously. Strategically. Coldly. They thought they were getting a wedding planner in a maid uniform. What they were about to get was a CEO in a power suit. In the days following that email, I remained quiet. I didn't respond. I didn't complain. But inside, a fire was burning. I replayed years of sacrifice in my head like a painful movie reel. The nights I stayed awake with fever to finish client proposals. The times I skipped dinner so my boys could have theirs. The days I wore the same pair of shoes so they could afford new school books. All of it now reduced to an email asking me to wear a maid uniform, not even a love you or thank you. People often confuse silence for submission, but for me, silence is where strategy is born. Instead of confronting them emotionally, I made a few professional calls. After all, I owned the company managing their wedding venue. They didn't realize it, of course. The business was listed under a parent company I'd acquired years ago and restructured. That venue? Mine. The caterer? A personal friend? The florist? One of my apprentices? The wedding manager they had been coordinating with? An actor I'd hired to observe their behavior and report everything back to me. And the reports were disheartening. Both my sons had begun referring to me among the staff as just the old lady who's good at logistics. They mocked my age. They laughed at how uncool I would look among their influencer guests. One even joked that I'd be mistaken for the help, and maybe it's better that way? What they didn't know was that I had already pulled strings to shift the narrative. I instructed my team to give them everything they wanted. The expensive hors d'oeuvres, the exotic orchids, the gold-trimmed table runners, all on my company's invoice. They believed they were getting deals from the vendors when in truth I was silently footing the bill, not for their happiness, but for their humbling. The final week before the wedding, I made one last move. I transferred ownership of my trust fund, the one that included shares in 5 successful companies, into my name exclusively. They had been under the impression that it would be passed to them after the wedding. That illusion died with the click of a button. Then came the day of the rehearsal dinner. I arrived early, not in the maid uniform they had ordered, but in an ivory pantsuit custom-tailored, with my company logo subtly embroidered near the collar. A golden name badge rested on my chest. Elena Carter, CEO. My silver hair was neatly pinned up, and I wore no jewelry other than a vintage watch, a gift from my late mother, who always said, "Time reveals character." The moment I walked in, the room stilled. Their fiancés blinked in confusion. "My sons?" One stuttered. The other muttered something about it being the wrong outfit. I smiled. "Good morning," I said sweetly. "I'm here for the inspection. I heard the wedding's being managed by my team, and I like to make sure everything reflects my company's values." The silence was thunderous. They exchanged looks, finally beginning to piece things together. The venue manager walked up, bowed slightly, and said, "Miss Carter, everything's been prepped to your specifications." My sons paled. "Wait, your specifications?" I nodded slowly, savoring the confusion blooming on their arrogant faces. "I own this venue. I own the catering team. The chairs, the plates, the chandeliers, they're all under my business umbrella. You see, while you were busy preparing a guest list that didn't even include your own mother's name, I was preparing something else." One son stepped forward, trying to whisper, "Mom, are you serious right now?" I looked him in the eye. "You told me to wear a maid uniform at your wedding. After everything I've done for you, that is what I was worth to you. So, yes, I'm very serious." They stammered. One tried to hug me, probably realizing how deep they'd dug the hole. But it was too late. The betrayal wasn't just in the outfit request. It was in the years of dismissive tones, the eye rolls, the absence of affection. They didn't just hurt me with one email. They'd been hurting me for a long time. That email just made it official. I turned to the caterer and gave the signal. Within minutes, staff began discreetly packing up the food, the drinks, the decorations, all of it. The guests hadn't even arrived yet. Their weddings weren't canceled, but they were about to be very different than they'd imagined. Guests began to arrive just as the final tray of hors d'oeuvres was being wheeled away. Confusion spread fast. Where was the food? The flowers? The band? My sons, looking sharp in suits they didn't even pay for, were scrambling to make sense of what was happening. They pulled out their phones, whispering into them like that would somehow summon the vanished staff. What they didn't know was the staff wasn't coming back. I'd paid them in full, and then sent them home with a generous tip and a simple message. Today isn't about them anymore. One of the brides walked up to me, trying to stay composed. "Mrs. Carter, what's going on?" I looked her square in the eyes. "There's been a change. Your wedding team was contracted under my company. They're no longer obligated to serve men who treat their own mother like disposable help." She blinked. "You own all of this? Every chair, plate, and linen you've seen, including the caterer who canceled service the moment I gave the word." My son came rushing toward us, jaw clenched, his voice low. "Are you doing this just to humiliate us?" "No," I said calmly. "I'm doing this to remind you who built the ground you walk on, and who you decided wasn't good enough to stand by your side on the biggest day of your life." Then I walked up to the small stage, where the wedding singer had been preparing for the first dance, and took the mic. "Good evening," I began. "Many of you know me as Elena Carter, the woman behind Carter Events. But more importantly, I am the mother of these two young men. I raised them alone. I skipped meals so they wouldn't go hungry. I gave up years of rest to make sure they had every opportunity in life. And this week, I was asked to wear a maid's uniform to their wedding." A ripple of gasps swept the room. "So instead, I chose to wear my CEO badge, cancel their luxury, and give them something far more valuable than flowers and cake, a lesson in humility." I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I simply stepped off the stage and left. Outside, I took a breath I hadn't taken in years, one full of freedom, not forgiveness. A week later, I received a letter. "Mom, we're sorry. We forgot who made us. Please give us a chance to earn back your respect." I didn't write back. Not yet. Because this time I was going to let silence teach them what entitlement never could. And the maid uniform? I had it framed beneath a plaque that read, "Not your help, your mother."